afternoon. This is Derek Chamblee broadcasting from Chamblee, Atlanta, the next great American city. Battleground Zero, the epicenter of the 2017 civil defense of the United States of America. Beautiful day. Well, it was. It's clouded up. We got some thunder and lightning in the distance here. At any rate, it's winding up on 4 o'clock in the afternoon, July 25th. 2017, and we're following the breaking news, some of the reactions of our current President Donald Trump's speech before 40,000 in West Virginia at a Boy Scout Jamboree, which is scheduled once every 4 years, and the last sitting president that addressed them directly in person was former President George W. Bush, and there's a lot of criticism coming out from in certain articles of the parents complaining, and then a lot of praise for our current President Donald Trump from other parents. Haven't seen too much yet from the actual Boy Scouts themselves, although most of the crowd cheered the president on, chanting things like USA and whatnot. And there's a spat of articles that compare his rally to the Nazi Hitler Youth rallies. And one thing to remember, the current President Donald Trump is running for re-election in 2020. And the age range of the Boy Scouts, we're talking 12 years old to 18 years old. So there's a good portion of them, if they are inspired by President Trump, and they have a right to make up their own mind, just as former President John F. Kennedy inspired a lot of young people, even younger than 12 years old, that went on in their lives, dedicated to doing something for the United States of America, and asking not what the country could do for them, ask what you can do for your country. And at any rate, we're picking up the story. So the thing is, in 3 years, it'll be in 2017 now, in 3 years, in 2020, many of these will be eligible to vote. And so it's a continuation of the campaign, and this is the site for 2020 hindsight. At any rate, we're picking this up. One of the articles, this one in Newsweek, actually released last night. Headline: Trump Boy Scout speeches Nazi Hitler Youth Rally Left Says, by Christina Silva. And we're going to pick up the article. Well, we'll start at the top. Big picture, big crowd, many wearing red, the signature color of Make America Great Again. And just a real supportive crowd of our current President Donald Trump. So we're going to start at the top. President Donald Trump brought his bombastic politics. Bombastic politics to a Boy Scouts event Monday in West Virginia, drawing cheers from the children gathered at the event and prompting comparisons between his rousing rhetoric and Nazi youth rallies. Wow. So, skipping down in the article here, it'll cooperate here. At any rate, so very interesting. Once again, our current president talking about fake news and whatnot. It basically, what's inserted there is an editorial kind of opinion. When a word like bombastic politics, is used, as a matter of fact, it relates to bombs, really, and So these types of descriptions are what perhaps the president is objecting to, and at any rate, so he's brought this comparisons between his rousing rhetoric and Nazi youth rallies from some liberal activists and journalists. Okay, so now we've got activists and journalists, but they're being labeled liberal. And why is that exactly? At any rate, the president, the first sitting president, U.S. Commander-in-Chief to address the group since George W. Bush, used his speech to slam the, quote, fake news, unquote, demand loyalty from administration officials, and advocate for the overhaul of federal health care. He spoke to about 40,000 people at the Boy Scouts of America 2017 National Scout Chamblee. Okay, and some of the articles noted that in 2010, our former President Barack Obama made some sort of televised message, and that our current President Donald Trump was never a Boy Scout. However, our former President Barack Obama was a Boy Scout, and somewhere in his speech, once again, the current president criticized former President Barack Obama. At any rate, we're going to pick up the article. We're going to skip down a little bit and get to this thing about Nazi youth, Adolf Hitler's Nazi Germany, and his rallies for Nazi youth. Here we go. Trump, who has attracted support from white nationalist leaders in the past, has repeatedly been compared to a Nazi leader by his critics. And we covered that before about propaganda with Goebbels, the minister of propaganda, minister of communications and propaganda that really largely created the first newsreel that was used very effectively for propaganda, and with moving cameras and whatnot. Well, Goebbels was also a great orator. He was a great speaker, and as a matter of fact, I forget which. If Adolf Hitler copied some of the mannerisms of Goebbels or vice versa, but they were both great orators. And we'll continue with this article. The Nazi Party targeted German children to help spread its propaganda messages, at one point counting more than 5.4 million members before joining became mandatory in 1939. A Trump supporter launched a group named, quote, Trump Youth, unquote, last year that also drew comparisons to the Hitler Youth. A video promoting the group made references to a worldwide, quote, parasite, unquote, enemy, a code in Nazi propaganda for Jews, quote, our nations have been commandeered by an international criminal cartel, and this parasite is feeding on our energy. It's in Japan, it's in China, it's in Germany, it's in America. Now, if we don't throw this parasite off our backs, the world will fall into chaos, unquote. Group leader Jamie Ladarty said in the video message the Forward reported. And very interesting there, the word chaos, and we have presidential candidate Jeb Bush for the Republican nomination in 2015, 2016, somewhere in there. He was saying that our current president, Donald Trump, was going to be a chaos president. And the interesting thing coming from Jeb Bush is that his grandfather, Prescott Bush, funded and the financial rise of Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party in the 30s in Germany, and armed Adolf Hitler all the way up until 1943, Prescott Bush. And then he made Richard Nixon in his first 1946 congressional race out of California, and then in turn Richard Nixon selected his son, George Herbert Walker Bush, as a UN ambassador, and one of the first speeches that George Herbert Walker Bush made as UN ambassador was about the New World Order. And this is a takeoff on a speech by Adolf Hitler when he spoke about the New World Economic Order. Very interesting that Jeb Bush is calling him a chaos president. And at any rate, that's the way things are right now, and our current president is running for re-election in 2020, and he knows the value of inspiring young people that by that time will be eligible to vote. This is Derek Chamblee. It hasn't rained yet here in Chamblee, Atlanta, at least not where I'm at. At any rate, this is CYRADYO, CYNEWSREAL, CYRADYO. CyberCircle time. Cyber Citizen Network. Derek Chamblee. Thank you very much.